Hey everyone, it's Sarah from Sass Series, and today I'm going to be doing a trilogy review for the Fifth Wave trilogy by Rick Yancey. I first started this trilogy back when I was in high school. I read the Fifth Wave when I was a senior, and I read it during my sophomore year of college. So it took me a while to finally pick it up and dive back into the trilogy. I don't do trilogy reviews that often because I don't finish a whole lot of series. However, this year, my goal was to read 5 series, and since then I finished like 6 or 7. So like, I'm kind of beasting in the series this year. So maybe expect more of those. As I did that, a trilogy review of A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, and I really enjoyed just talking and gushing about that. So that's what this is going to be. I'll try to keep it spoiler free, but no promises, because this is a trilogy review. However, what I'll try to do is, if I do talk about spoilers, I'll do so more at the end. That way, you know, I don't spoil everything. So, the Fifth Wave is about a girl named Cassie Sullivan. She is wandering around, and the fifth wave is the fifth wave of an alien invasion. Each wave has decimated a portion of the human population, and in contrast has picked humanity off one by one. And Cassie's wandering around, and she runs into Evan Walker. I almost confused the boys for a second. Evan Walker. And she's like, she knows something's up, suspicious. She's got her guard up, she's got her gun, and then we go into a whirlwind of events. I really love the Fifth Wave, you guys. I read this one a couple years ago, but I don't know, there's just something about the Fifth Wave. Like, when I think about it, I get so nostalgic. I still haven't written a review for it. Like I said, sometimes I'm a really good reviewer and I can be on top of things. This is one of those books that I just haven't reviewed yet. But that's okay, because I'll know that I'll eventually write down my review for the whole trilogy, which will be good. I can post it all in one go on my blog. But I really enjoyed just the characterization of Cassie and Evan. And then not only that, but there's Zombie, who is another point of view within the story. We later learn of his connection to Cassie, which was so obvious. I was like, God, can you like be any more like cliche with the whole setting up the, oh my gosh, he was the boy that I loved so much. Yeah, and he just so happens to survive the alien invasions, right? How convenient. But, of course, this story doesn't go down that plot. I mean, it kind of almost does, but it goes in a different direction, which I liked. It can get a little dark and gritty, which I love. I'm all about dark and gritty topics, especially in YA. And, you know, a lot of people say that this book can be read as a standalone. I do agree. I haven't seen the movie. Don't plan on it. I've heard it's bad. But that was originally what prompted me to read it, because I was like, I'm going to go and see the movie. Didn't see it because I love the book so much, and I didn't want my opinion to be ruined. So, this one I gave 5 stars to. I highly recommend picking up the Fifth Wave. You can read it as a standalone if you're scared of continuing with the trilogy, but before you make your decision, let me tell you about the rest. So, that's that one. The next book in the, oh my gosh, this book just almost fell. The next book in the series, I'll just like reposition. Okay. The next book in the series is The Infinite Sea. I had heard things about this book. I had heard it was not good. I heard it was a filler book, and I heard a lot of stuff. So much stuff that I immediately bought this book after finishing the Fifth Wave in hardcover. In hardcover. The last star hadn't come out yet. And I was like, I need this book. I gotta continue this series. And then I went on the internet. And this is where the internet can be a bad place, because it scared me. And I was like, I love the Fifth Wave so much, I'm not gonna be able to like this one. So it sat on my shelf for like 2 years, unread. But my library has the audiobook, so I was like, well, this is the time. So I picked up the audiobook. Every now and then I'd open this up and be like, okay, this is where I'm at, and I'd read along with it if I didn't have anything else to do. But besides that, I wouldn't have picked it up otherwise if it wasn't for the audiobook being free at my library, because I feel like I would have stared at this book, you know, fear, because reading takes up a lot of my time. I can read quickly, but I don't want to waste my time reading things that I don't like unless I'm reviewing it, if that makes sense. Or if it's for a book club, or if I just really want to know the ending, which happened with a book recently. So yeah, I actually gave The Infinite Sea 4.25 stars, which I know is a high rating for this book. Almost everyone hates this book. It follows Cassie, follows Ben, Evan, and Ringer, another girl from the same camp that Ben, who is zombie, is from, as well as Cassie's little brother, and a few random spurts of POVs here and there. I enjoyed it. I liked how dark it was. I wasn't a huge fan of where Ringer's point of view went, because I feel like that was a little odd, and it bothered me. And like, I'm not gonna lie, like when we were all in the compound with Ringer, I was like, oh, we're in there again. But then it got like really good, because things were happening and plot twists were coming about, and I was like, okay, I can get behind this. And overall, I just really enjoyed the listening experience of this book, much more so I feel if I would have read it, although I've heard from people who listened to the audiobook that they thought it was boring. So, you know, I'm in the minority with this book. I think it's a really good bridge book. And now sometimes bridge books can be bad. They can be filler books. I don't think this is a filler book. I think it's a bridge book. Like, it connects point A to C. And you can't get to C without B. So this is the B that you need, ABC, right? So yeah, I enjoyed it. Unpopular opinion from the peanut gallery over here, but I recommend giving it a shot. Read the first couple of chapters if you really love the fifth wave, to make up your mind if you want to continue it. Okay? Then the last book is The Last Star. Apparently though, they're gonna have like a continuation trilogy or whatever, but we're gonna pretend like this is just one trilogy and entity, right? This is the ending. You guys, I really like this ending. I really like this ending. It went there. It got dark and sacrifices were made. It was really intense. I also listened to this from my library. I give it 4.5 stars for now. However, like, it's probably more of a 4.25 stars along with The Infinite Sea, just because I feel like it's probably on the same wavelength. They're not as good as the fifth wave. I'm just going to be honest. Don't go into these books thinking you're going to get the fifth wave. You're going to get the fifth wave characters expanded in a different way and direction. And that may be what bothered people. It didn't bother me though, because enough time had passed that like my love for the fifth wave was still vast, but not like deep. So I can detach myself from that, which is why I enjoyed these books. I really love the ending. The ending does, I'll just say this, what Allegiant does, but better. And it makes sense. Allegiant doesn't make sense. The Last Star makes sense. And y'all, that was beautiful. I was tearing up at that ending. And I'm a crier. I'm an emotional person in general. But it was like tears of like, wow, it ended that way. And it had hope, which is interesting because when I started this series, I was like, this is going to be bleak. There is not going to be any hope here when I finish. And it was a hopelessly hopeful ending. Complete contradiction, I know. But that's the best way to describe this series. Hopelessly hopeful. And I love that. I love that. It's just, it's nice. And you know, this series gets a lot of flack as being the series that gets worse as it goes on. And yeah, it doesn't get better. But they're still good. And I feel like because people were like, well, I gotta hold this book up to the first standard, they can't enjoy it. Enough time for me passed that I could enjoy it. So that's my overall thoughts. Overall, for this series, I'd probably give it like, what's 4.5 plus 4.25 plus 4.25? I don't want to do math right now. So we'll just say like a 4.25 average for this series, because that seems about right. Actually, I give 4.5 to The Last Star. So 5 star, 4.25, 4.5, subject to change though. Keep that in mind. So let me know your thoughts on the Fifth Wave Trilogy. I'm curious. Are you going to pick it up? Or are you going to avoid it? Let me know down below in the comments. Bye and happy reading.